Hello and welcome to Easy Math channel. This week we will study Venn diagram, and within Venn diagram we'll look at how to represent a given question or given data into something like this. But also before we jump into understanding what a Venn diagram is, let me give you why Venn diagram is so useful. Now, as you can see, a Venn diagram is used to show groups of data. So here we have collection of games that's played by Ed in a given week. So this Venn diagram kind of shows um, the grouping of all the data, and can also show if and when some of this data is placed in one group versus another group. So by that I mean, in this case we have two groups. One is baseball and one is football, and Venn diagram is kind of used to represent that in a given week, how, like, what day Ed plays what game, and then to see if there is a day where Ed plays both the games. So anyway, so in this example we can see that we have two sports or two games, baseball and football. This circle represent baseball, and this green circle represent football, and this in the middle, which is common, represents both football and baseball. Now this Venn diagram is a representation of games played by Ed in a week, and we can see that on Monday and Thursday Ed prefers to play baseball, and on Tuesdays, Wednesday, and Sunday Ed prefers to play football. And then on Saturday, which is like this common area between football and baseball, Ed prefers to play both the games on Saturday. And if you look at this thing, Friday, which is outside of this circle, so this means that on Friday, Ed prefers to play neither of the game. So this is how a Venn diagram can be useful to like understand a given group of data. Cool. So this was just a quick summary of how to kind of understand what a Venn diagram is, and we'll go over two different examples wherein we'll construct a Venn diagram from start, and then we'll try to answer a couple questions. So let's look at the first question. So in this question we have so this question is: Sam surveyed a group of 50 people, I'll just underline it, at the town meeting about the expansion of town zoo and the construction of bike path. So we can see that the meeting is about, oops, sorry, about the expansion of town zoo. Let me increase this marker. So about the town zoo and the construction of bike path. And he found that of the 50 people he surveyed, 32 people supported expanding the zoo, and 30 people supported constructing a bike path, and 12 people supported both the projects. Now the question is, first we'll have to fill in this Venn diagram to represent the result of the survey. So of 50 people, how many supported zoo and how many supported bike path, and versus how many supported both. And then we'll look at how many people supported just just the zoo expansion, and how many people just supported bike path only. So before we do that, let me just write down what information do we have. So number of people surveyed is 50. People who supported uh, town zoo expansion is 32. People who supported bike path is 30, And you can see that if you add these two, you get 62, which is more than the number of people surveyed. So that means there is something which is common. There are people who like kind of supported both, and we are like double counting them. So, and the number of people who supported both is 12. So let's start with this. So we know that number of people who supported both is 12. And we know that number of people who supported zoo expansion is 32. But of 32, we know that 12, the number of people, 12 people supported both. So this 32 also includes 12. So the number of people who were only supporting zoo is 32 minus 12. So this is 32 minus 12, which is 20. And we know that the total number of people that supported bike path is 30. But of these 30, 12 supported both bike path and zoo expansion. So this would be 30 minus 12. This would be 18. Now if we add 20 plus 12 plus 18, we get 50, which is the total number of people surveyed. Okay, so we did the first one. Second is how many people supported the town zoo only. The town zoo expansion, I mean. So for this, we'll only look at this part of this purple circle and not the center one, because it's asking for only supported town zoo. So we know that it's 20. So this is 20. And then we'll look at how many people supported the bike path. And let me just change the color so it's just easier. How many people supported bike path only? So we'll look at only this part of the circle and not the center part. And we know that this was 30 minus 12, which is 18. So only 18 people supported bike path, 20 people supported town zoo expansion, and 12 people supported both. Cool. Let's look at another, which is our last example. So in this case, the manager of a local clothing store wants to know which jeans to stock for the upcoming back to school sale. He reviews the numbers from last year's sale and find that the store sold 120 pairs of jeans. So of this 120, 80 were bootcut, 60 were stonewashed, and assuming the store only stocked those kind of jeans, we'll answer the below three questions. So before we do that, let's look at what kind of information we have. So number of jeans is 120, bootcut is 80, stonewashed is 60, and again if you look at this, it's 140, which is more than the total number of jeans. So that means we have jeans that were common, and the best way to find out the number of jeans that were common would be this is an easier way. So 80 plus 60 minus 120, and this gives us 20. So we know that there were 20 jeans which were both bootcut and stonewashed. So we'll write this as 20. And we know that the stonewashed jeans were 60, but of 60, 20 is common. So only stonewashed is 60 minus 20, which is 40. And then only bootcut is 80 minus 20, which is 60. And let me change my color again so it's easier. So we can see that of the 120 number of jeans, 40 were only stonewashed, 60 were only bootcut, and then 20 were both stonewashed and bootcut. So to answer the first question, how many of the jeans sold were both stonewashed and bootcut? So this we can see at this common area. So that is 20. How many of the jeans were just stonewashed and not bootcut? let me change my color again. So we will look at so only stone washed and not bootcut. So we'll only look at this part of this purple circle, only the outside, not the common part. So we know this is 40. And then how many of the jeans were just bootcut and not stone washed? So we'll only look at this part of the green circle, not the common one. So we know that this is 60. Cool. So that is how we use a Venn diagram to kind of show the entire data into a small diagram, and it's easier to understand when you like kind of look at this figure and try to understand, for this example, how many were just stone washed, how many jeans were just boot cut, and what were the total number of jeans, and also what were the jeans that were like both stone washed and boot cut. So it kind of makes understanding a given data easy. So with this, I hope uh, I was able to explain Venn diagram in a much easier way as possible. And I hope this video was useful. If you do like this video, please subscribe to my channel, Easy Math, and please leave your comments below. Thank you.